what I just stepped on. Okay, hello. Hello, witches. Welcome to my channel. I'm Kim. This is The Way of the Witch. I recently went camping. Oh, hello, White Wolf Mother. Good morning. Thank you for joining me. Maybe you will paint along with me. I recently went camping in the redwoods and decided that a few of the energies that I connected with in the redwoods I would document in my book of Genus Loci. And I started while I was there. Actually, you may have seen this before. I've started this book here. And it's just to document and collect and curate the Genus Loci from the San Francisco Bay Area, but also all of California. I was documenting the native lands. I will be adding lots of maps. This is just one of the Napa River wetlands where I like to go hiking. And then I think I had done a little California poppy. And then while I was in the redwoods, I started this redwood sort of piece of a tree. We were camped, excuse me, goodness, in the Humboldt redwoods, which is a good 4 to 5 hours from the San Francisco area, maybe 6, depending on traffic. But our campsite was at the base of this ginormous redwood tree, and I am going to make a video showing some of that trip. But while I was there, I decided to tap into those energies. This tree was so big you could actually sit inside it and meditate in it. So it was pretty cool. I am, let me see, looking for something to be kind of a, without knocking everything over. I think this might, yeah, take this out. So if you are going to paint along with me or draw or color or do whatever, get out your implements, your tools, your colors, your paints, and let's get going. I just want to do, look, I can't even get this thing open. I just want to do, add a little bit to this. I've got these Caran d'Ache Neo watercolor 2s. So basically they're high quality watercolor crayons. So they go on like a crayon, and then you can add water to them and make them a little more Excuse me, goodness, I don't know what's wrong with me this morning. I think I want this orange. These are redwoods after all. Is it the same color? No. All right, so what I like about these is you can be real specific. This is an orange. Oh, by the way, you can also buy these in good art stores, art supply shops. You can buy these singly, so you don't have to buy a whole. What are you saying, White Wolf Mother? You tried watercolors on white paper, left it open overnight, and the page is still stuck. I guess I need one with brown paper like you have. You know, definitely I would say I leave stuff open, and I'll even like weigh it down so that the pages don't fold up and stick together. I think the biggest thing about the paper is that it needs to be fairly thick to handle all the watercolor. And what I've done for books where I have used acrylic, because acrylic paint, even after it dries, it will stick together when you have the pages closed. I will typically put a little sheet of parchment paper or wax paper in between to keep them from sticking. You might try that with your watercolor experiments. This, I just want to add, I'm just going to color in and add bits of color. You look at the trees and you think at first glance that they're, brown, right? But truly, and depending on how the light is hitting them, they can end up looking like they have all kinds of colors in them. So I'm adding a little bit of red. And typically you can put watercolor over gouache, which is what I use a lot in my paints. I like working with gouache. It's basically just an opaque watercolor. It's not as translucent, right, as watercolor. Get a little red in here. Just some red highlights. There was this opening in that tree, and I just wanted to evoke the green peeking through. I'll probably do that here. And then I also want to add the forest floor a bit. I have these paints, and I completely forget the name of them. I got them on Etsy, and they're handmade watercolors. I cannot remember the brand. I'll figure it out, and I'll post it in the description box when I Oh, yeah, White Wolf Mother. Yeah, thin paper. Yeah, it's too bad. When I've had a thin paper book, and I was just looking to see if I see one in my bookshelf. I don't. I've made books of shadows from simple composition notebooks, and that paper is just notebook paper, right? And sometimes what I've done is just glue the papers together, like to make a thicker piece of paper. I've taken like 2 sheets, run a glue stick over it, and glued it together to make a thicker paper. Sometimes that can help. I want to, I think, use this root watercolor. I have probably a little dropper. Yeah. that I can be a little more measured about adding some water. I just want to do a thin little, just like evocative of the ground. And I don't want to go too crazy because I am going to put a label here. Ooh, the tarot of your year. It's actually a tarot of my year with all of my threads. You know, I wish we could more easily share our work because I would love to see. I have people comment all the time. It says that they're painting along or whatever, and I'd love to see your work. I'd love for you to be able to share that. And short of, I think, starting a Facebook group, I don't know how I could facilitate that. I really am loath to start a Facebook group. I've been kind of getting away from Facebook for a few years, and I just don't want to get more into it, you know? Maybe YouTube will come up for a way that we can share, you know, just post like on a community tab or something. I'm just trying to fade this in right here because I did want a little bit of a forest floor effect, and I'm going to have to let this dry because I did go ahead and print out some of these little, you know, labels, and I was thinking I would put that here. I could cut the off and just do redwoods, or stack the on top. I do have emerald in here. How is that emerald? I guess it is. That's bizarre. There's no way that's emerald. It is. Look at that. To me that looks purple in the light, but look, it's that emerald. Ooh. What would happen? We just dropped a little bit in. Yeah. Okay. And let me see, I had added, well, that's getting a chance to dry. Just want to activate that crayon that I added. I know I've got, it looks like I've got green on this. I don't know if you can see how that crayon is activating just a bit. You know, it's just to give it a little bit of depth, all the colors, just the layering. And my stuff is never realistic. I'm probably stating the obvious, but I'm never going for realism, ever. I'm not good at it. I don't have the patience for it. And I am a photographer and have been all my life. So typically, if I want realism, I'm going to do it in photography. So I need to let that dry. This is the issue with these videos, right? I have to, I have to let things dry. I could grab my air dryer, heat dryer, but that's kind of awkward with a channel. Let's see what happens if I just set it aside for a minute. And I want to show you something. So the other thing that I was going to add today from scratch is a raven, because while we were there, so I have a thing for ravens, right? And while we were there, the ravens and the crows were, of course, in the woods with us, and it was pretty magical how they would swoop through and just be so silent and standing in a branch above you and, you know, calling down to you. So while I was there, I noticed near the base of the tree, I think it was the second day we were there, near the base of this big tree was a object lying on the ground, a shiny little, and it was upside down, and it was kind of like that. So, and it's very kind of loamy, the soil is. So with all of the leaves dropping, or they're probably not leaves, they're like needles, you know, not pine needles, but they're like little bits that fall off the branches. Anyway, they cover the ground, and every day a bunch rains down. So this was somewhat buried, but it wasn't like ground into the dirt. So it was, point taken, it wasn't there the day before. I saw it the next day lying on the ground, and I just thought it was so magical and fairy like for, hi Akasha, how are you? Welcome. I found this and I just thought, oh, it's a gift. So I had this idea of doing a painting of a raven holding this little earring. Now, by the way, I'm going to end up using this earring. I have a couple of nieces who were abroad over the summer, and they had gone to Japan, and there's I have another channel. It's a doll channel, and that's a whole other thing, story, whatever. But anyway, there's this particular kind of doll in Japan that you can get. Now, we could get them, we could order them here in the US and have them sent over, but because the girls were there, they love to come over and play with Auntie's dolls. They're young. They're like 4 and 6 years old. They knew about those dolls because their mother knew about those dolls when she was a girl growing up. So they went and picked out 2 dolls for me, and one of them is called Urban Fairy Ellie, and she's a little, sort of evokes the magic of a fairy, of a fae in the woods, but she's supposed to be urban. She's not really urban, but whatever. Anyway, I'm going to use this, long story short, which I know, too late. I'm going to use this as a little, I just thought it was cute. It's like, from the fairies. And I had just gotten that doll, the crows and the ravens. I know they love shiny things. I felt like it was just a magical tie to the land. So ideally, I want to paint that. And then once I've painted it. I'm going to turn this into a little pendant for that little doll. Excuse me. You have a little water. Still kind of wet. I could pop this on the dryer, under the dryer real quick, because I do want to get on. I want to show you, so at least get it dry enough so I can turn the page and do another drawing. So yeah, let me just quickly dry this. Give me a minute, not even. Set this here. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Oh, coffee with cream and sugar. Yes. I had my coffee with cream and sugar as well. There's a Trader Joe's, I think it's a oat milk. It's called brown sugar oat milk for coffee. It's coffee creamer. It is so good. I'm completely out of it. There's another oat milk, vanilla oat milk, that Safeway sells, and it's more commercial, and I can't even remember what the name of it is that I have. But yeah, I like my coffee sweet and creamy. I've never been a black coffee drinker. I think this is, it's somewhat dry. It's not dry enough for me to transfer this. And you know, my process for that is to use a little bit of graphite paper and just cut that out, lay it on there, draw it on, and then I'll paint it in with some black gouache or something like that. It's too wet for that. I will just take a scrap sheet of paper. I'm going to pop it in there like that. So while we were there at this campground, they had bear boxes, and we were on a trail one day, and my dog ran over and picked something up off the side of the trail. And of course, we were like, you know, drop it, stop, let it go. She drops it, and it's a tuft of black fur. And I don't know that I even took a picture of it. And you would think, I mean, what kind of witch wouldn't just wrap that in a little Kleenex or something and bring it back? I wish I had. But at the time, I was just like, no, we need, you know, if there's black bear fur on the trail, or at least right off the side of the trail, and there's bear boxes at the campgrounds, you know, there's possibly bears denning around here. So maybe I need to scamper away. And that's what I did. But I decided I wanted to add a little black bear into my book of Genus Loci. And they are quite prevalent here in Northern California, Bay Area even. Well, I don't know about the Bay Area, but I know they're prevalent where we go camping and hiking a lot. So I wanted to add them. By the way, I have taken, oh, I don't know, probably a half a dozen online art classes from an artist in the UK named Mickey Wilde. And she does these amazing animal portraits. They're always very whimsical and just so, I just love her style. So I've taken a lot of her classes. A lot of my animal portraits are very similar to hers because I learned how to do them from her. So this is pretty derivative. It's not done at all. I have more layers to do on him, but I do have this little guy that I thought I could go ahead and put that in, and I'll just weigh him down like that. I just want to cut out a little piece of this graphite. I'm not going to do a background. I'm just going to work on him a little bit. I want to cut away as much graphite as I can, graphite paper, because it really does leave, it smudges this paper. This paper, while it's very thick and lovely to work with, it's also kind of delicate. It's quite cottony almost. I mean, it definitely, if you try to erase it or anything, it goes pretty wonky. Even putting washi tape on it can pull off the fibers. Hi, J-Pan. Long time no talk to. How are you? I really wanted to get on here. I haven't had a chance to make a proper video in a couple weeks, mainly because we went camping and had a little vacation in the woods. I love camping, and let me just put this on here. Just want to tape this down. I need my glasses for this one. So I haven't had a lot of opportunity. It also is getting really, really busy at work. I am entering my busy season. Typically summer, especially July, is usually not super busy in my field. But it was this year, and I don't have a lot of time. I wish I did. So I'm using a sharp little pen, a little tipped pen, and I'm just gonna draw out these letters so that I can fill them in. It's just, I want a specific font in this book. So I just go into Canva, or God, you could probably do it in Word, frankly. Find a font you like, write out what you want in that font, make it the size you want, print it, and then you can copy it on graphite paper and then transfer it in. Or if you're, so inclined, maybe you can just do your own font. I just find that when my own hand-drawn fonts aren't as consistent across time, So, I prefer to do it this way. White. Let's see if I can find some black. Here it is. Hi, pretty Alice. White Wolf Mother, I really love your name. I just was working with a myth about the white wolf, and do you guys know this book by Angela Carter? It's really good. It's got some like reimagined fairy tales, and I'm actually reading right now The Bloody Chamber. It's based on the myth of Bluebeard, and I work with a lot of mythic themes in my spiritual practice. So this is a really good book, and I was just thinking of your name, White Wolf Mother. This white wolf. Oh, you were a band mom. Yeah, I bet. Oh, thanks, J-Pan. He needs a little more work. We'll work on him a little bit more, see if we can get him sorted. I like them to have nice, big, expressive eyes. I did a series of animal paintings, animal portrait paintings for my nieces a couple years ago during the pandemic. And I like them to have like big expressive eyes. Yeah, so I'm going to add a little more green. I'm probably going to do some little trees, you know, silhouettes of trees and little sort of sigils and stuff in his fur. Oh my God, I can barely see that. See, here's a good tip too. Keep this. It'll help you kind of know how it's supposed to go. And I'm just gonna, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I was watching, I don't know her name, and I should, over at Magical Crafting, I think, because she does these lives where she's painting, and she does a full painting, and I believe much bigger than what I do in like 2 hours. I am, well, she's been doing it for a while. I've been following her for a long time, and she's learned how to kind of get through it, because, you know, a lot for me is, especially when I'm working on a big kind of painting, it just takes me forever because everything, you know, I want it to dry. I just do little bits at a time. And when I've done videos of me painting, I really have to speed it up because, yeah, I mean, it can take me days. I'll have to show you. I have a couple of paintings of seasonal goddesses, and I was doing a whole series of them. Sometimes I stop because it takes me so long, you know. So I had gotten to number 4, and for some reason I stopped working on her. I need to finish her. I've got 3. Ooh. I've got 3 finished and framed here in my office, but that fourth one is elusive, and I've been needing to finish her for years. Ugh, I didn't do very well on this E, did I? Let's try to do this A. I can barely see it. I did not do a good job of tracing. Yeah, you guys, if you like this style and you want to know more, just look up Mickey Wilde. It's M-I-C-K-I. I'll try to remember to put a link to her. And it's Wilde, W-I-L-D-E. And she's got, I mean, they're totally reasonable online little art paint along tutorial classes. She teaches you how to do it. I love it. I love her style. The whimsy appeals to me. And, you know, what's really fun with these crayons, too, is you can add to it, you know, kind of be more... Let's see. I know I have another green in here. All of these like water soluble things, I think they play well together if you like. You know, just doing mixed media. I don't know. I find that it's fun for me to try different things and to work on different paintings at a time. The thing about this paper, if you use too much water, it can start to, I don't know if you can see that, it can start to kind of peel up, which is fine. Let him dry a little bit. But, so here's what we can do. While this one, let's make this. While this one's drying, we can do the raven. So it turns out this book is about the size of a half sheet of paper. And what I like to do is sort of lay out how I'm going to, this is what I did with the bear. So essentially, if I can open it, I drew them out. And drew them out, you know, sort of where I wanted them. And then, of course, I used the graphite paper to transfer them on there. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to fold this up. So ideally, that'll be the center. Now, you can see it's not quite. So I want to get kind of the right paper size. Is that the right height? Yeah. And I need a piece of pencil. What is that? Ooh, I like these black wing pencils. This is Palomino. It needs to be sharpened. But this is, I mean, ooh, I don't know why I did that. This is a soft graphite. Okay, so let's see. Let me do a little sharpening. Yeah, you know what, White Wolf Mother, they can be pricey, but I found this, I mean, yes, of course, it can be pricey. I completely agree. This particular book I got on Amazon, and I think I've shown y'all this before. This is a bigger version of that. I want to say this was $50. And I want to say this was like half that, like 25. I have gotten books like this before, and the paper was not nearly. Hey, here, White Wolf, see, here's a thing where I've put like, you know, I'll put like the parchment paper in there to keep it from, you know. But yeah, these can be pricey, but some of the ones I've gotten before that are expensive, and I've got, again, I'm looking at my bookshelf. I don't see it back there, but I must have paid, I don't know, more, like $75 for that. And the paper inside it is terrible. It's like this really thin white. It's not even, I feel, as sturdy as like just a regular sheet of copy paper. So, yeah. I like this one. I was really happy to find this one. And when I saw and started working on this paper, that's when I was like, oh yeah, let me go ahead and get the smaller one, because I knew I wanted to do that Grimoire kind of, I think that other little book. Yeah, like this came in a box, a subscription box. So I started to make a pop culture witches grimoire, and this is literally going to be a smash book. Like, I'm not going to do a lot of art in this. I'm just going to cut out stuff and paste it in there. I might, you know, paint a background, but this is intended to be sort of a smash book with just writing and crap that I stick in here that are about pop culture witches, right? It doesn't, this paper is terrible. I mean, this paper is just terrible. But, you know, whatever. I'll eventually get back to this. I start some projects sometimes and I do not finish them. So, back to drawing this raven. So the parchment paper, you know what? I just get it from the grocery store. Like in the baked good, like where the plastic wrap and aluminum foil and all that stuff is. I just get it there. And it's cheap. It's like $4 or $5 for a roll, maybe $6, depending. And yeah, I use it. 25th anniversary edition coming in October. What anniversary? 25th anniversary edition. Was that just? Huh. Oh, so years ago, I made this. I started making this little book of crows, a murder of crows, little art book, and and this is something like I've started and never finished. It's all these crows in it, and these honestly are based on a Mickey Wild class that I took. I should finish this one day. It's just a little, I just got some art paper and tore it up and put it together, different sizes and shapes. It's meant to be rough. It's meant to be whimsical. But I think I want to do something like one of these shapes, or perhaps this shape. I'm just thinking, how is that going to translate on paper? Because like I said, I want that holding that, but I kind of want it, I don't want it flat. Like I want it more turned like this. I wonder if I can use, oh, the Alice Hoffman book. Yes, yes, Practical Magic, of course, yes. I love that series of books. Now, Practical Magic, the book Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman, I don't love that as much. I adored two of the other books. One of them I think was Magic Lessons. That may have been, was it Magic Lessons? Or the first one I think I really loved. And at some point I think I was just sobbing. I'm just going to tape this on here with some washi tape just to sort of get an idea of how I'm going to draw this. Like if I set that there, or hold him, because I kind of want him to be this size. Put that book there. I mean, if I have his head up here. So the thing about this bird, you know, you can just look at the shapes. Like this is just a sort of, sort of kind of an oval shape. And then this is more of a kind of a circle shape. So just draw that. And then a kind of that. And then we've got kind of this number, this number. We'll figure that out later. We've got the feathers sort of going there. Got this head. Maybe he's... See, this is why I can't draw in these books, right? Because my process is pretty messy. It's just lots of refining, you know. This is a lot thinner. So like erasing like this in here, never. Can't do that. What are you, crazy? I am going to end up having this be more... Sorry, I'm not talking while I'm drawing this out. I can sort of draw if I'm looking at another drawing or photo, but for me, it's a lot harder to look at a real 3D thing and draw it seriously. I agree. I totally agree. And often, like if I don't have an image that I can just look at, you know, that sometimes I'll find stuff on Pinterest or whatever, and I'll draw that. And a lot of times I'll just take a picture and then make that a 2D, right? Like just print that out and then draw from that photo that I've taken. But this is so simple, and I've done it so many times, and I know what, like, again, I'm not going to be realistic at all. So I just am thinking, plus I'm going to transfer this in there, so I'm going to lose any detail. I think I'm just gonna do something like that. I mean, you know, close enough, right? I'm not going to do all these feathers in the copy. I'm just looking at it. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think that's okay. Just toss that aside like it's not the sacred object that it is. Let's see, White Wolf Mother. Oh, I love Pinterest. Thank gods and goddesses for the HP. Seriously. Thank God and goddess for the HP Prep program, for reals. I don't know. I think that's close enough. All right, and I think he's fairly dry. I mean, I could have done something more like that. Aw, thanks. Or something, you know, I could have done something different. More like that. Okay. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? So how's your spells working? Anything cooking? You got anything you're working on? We've got a moon coming up this coming week. I've been working on my limiting beliefs, looking for proof that the new beliefs that I'm cultivating are actually true. And pretty soon I'm going to burn those branches and then take the ashes and scatter them to the 4 directions. Very like, by the way, this story of Bluebeard. The ravens come. Well, do you know the story of Bluebeard? If you don't, you should check it out. There's a couple of great, there's a couple of really good versions. I highly recommend the one in Women Who Run with the Wolves. I love this, love working with the stories, and Bluebeard is, in fact, one of the first stories. And I mean, can I spoil it? I'm not sure. if I should spoil it, it's not a long story. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything more in case you want to read it yourself. But this is actually a really good telling of it. And the thing that I love about Dr. Estes is that she really goes into the natural predator of the psyche, right? Stalking the intruder, the beginning initiation, and how it's just very, very interesting how you can work with some of these myths. So this is what I had originally read, and then Sister Witch, a friend of mine, recommended Angela Carter and said I really had to read it. And truly, it's a different take on that story, a different interpretation, but interesting nonetheless. So, yeah, I'm just curious, how's your spell work going? Thank you, J-Pan. Let's see, White Wolf Mother. I've become obsessed with herbs and essential oils. Yes. Yes. The herbs and the essential oils. I do too. I mean, I use them for just about, I mean, just for so many things, you know. I like to, sorry, I'm just cutting this. I want to cut off, you know what, I don't even need the legs. I think I've got it. I'm looking in the shadow of the light. I think I need to tape down the... Look, see? It even rubs off on my fingers. Okay, I'm just gonna tape it down a little bit. Maybe I can just use a sharp pencil this time. Oh, where did that go? Let's see. Someone said blowing cinnamon in your door on the first of the month invites prosperity. Oh, well that's, I mean, try it. Does it? I should do that. I should definitely do that. Kind of deviating from my drawing, and I don't want to deviate too much. But it's all a process. It all changes anyway. Oh, I took that graphite paper out, right? Did I get it? Close enough. Oh, thank you, J-Pan. Yeah, you know, I mean, my whole thing is I really want people to know that, you know, you can create art that looks amazing. And is inspirational to you and has meaning to you. I'm just kind of filling this in. And I know it can be a tedious process, and that it can be hard to believe that we can do something that, aren't those nice? Should I use it as a leg? Probably not. I'm just gonna act like it's not there. Let's see, if I'm looking at this, I think this. Because he's weird without legs. Tarot Stash. She has a wonderful channel. A guy, Greg. There's a guy, Gerald. Gerald? Gerald. I don't know. I've known a guy named Gerald that he pronounced his name that way. That's where you heard the cinnamon thing. Oh, interesting. J-Fan. Who said it? Was it, who said creativity takes courage? Was it Matisse? Henri Matisse, I think. I wouldn't say that. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? It's just paper, right? I could mess it up, sure. But, you know, I'm not too worried. I want to make, I mean, just because, you know, I'll just paint over it. This is the thing. We can't be afraid to mess up, or we'll never get anything done. You know, we just can't. I fight it all the time. I'm going to put a little bit of blue in this bird. I just want to put some a little blue. Seems like a lot. Should I use the same brush, maybe? That's true. I do think that imperfections make it unique. And, you know, I've dealt, and maybe you have too, in your life, dealt with a lot of feeling like nothing's ever good enough. You know, you work on stuff, and it can feel, especially in working world, that, you know, nothing I do is good enough, right? But in art, what I have found, and I didn't go to art school, you know, I took a bunch of classes in college, and it took me forever to graduate college because I was taking art classes when I should have been taking something else. But I did not go to art school, right? So when I started, and I've always painted or made art or something, but when I really started trying, like I had an art studio when I lived in Cincinnati. That's how I was really trying to be a better artist. I want to use some of this black. I just felt like here I have control. here, it's not up to anyone else about whether it's good enough. It's my process, and I really try to concentrate on the process of what I'm doing. More, I would say, than the outcome. Do I want it to look good? Yes, yes, yes. But I also just want to enjoy what I'm doing and not have to do what somebody else wants me to do, or live up to somebody else's idea of what is perfection and what is right. I am a witch, and I have a very specific practice, and there can be people who don't like what I do or don't think it's correct. I totally messed up that line. I have to fix that. And it's probably the same in art, you know. You're not a real artist. You know, that Greek chorus that seems to always be in the background chanting, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. You know, that. I like to rail against that. I mean, you know, don't tell me how I'm supposed to practice or believe in things, or how I'm supposed to draw something out, or, you know, this is my book. I'm not selling it. I'm not trying to monetize my art, although I am on this channel. I mean, I don't know. This is the I feel like with art we have an opportunity to ultimately do what we want, make what we want right, and do it without any rules. I mean, to a degree, you want to probably follow some rules of, what is this? Payne's Gray. I mean, to some degree, you might want to. Sometimes they say you need to know the rules in order to break them. And, you know, that's probably true. Make his head bigger. Oh, thanks, J-Pan. Yeah, you know, you have to, well, you don't have to do anything. But I think that being creative on a daily basis, a daily creative practice, whatever that is, however that turns out to be. Look, this paper's getting like, stop playing with me. I may have to let it dry so that I can add more layers later. It just, it gets like really, it's almost like you can pull it up. I want to get a little bit of this black. Black, as you can see, it goes a long way. Just put this crayon off. I actually wanted to do this video, do this as a video and not a live, because I could then concentrate more on what I'm doing, but this videos can take a long time to produce, and as slow as I am, I just don't have time. My nieces are coming over to spend the night, and I got to get ready for that. I need to unpack from our camping trip. All my camping stuff is still sitting in the garage. Look how that's wicking. It's so wet. That's all right. I don't mind. I'll do probably 3 or 4 more layers. You just need to start somewhere. Get something on the page. I think I'm going to have to let him or her dry. I could do Raven right there. Why don't we do that? I think I have a little piece of this left. At least I've got that black sitting there. Use some of this washi tape. What did I do with my little pastels box? The problem with these lives, though, is I know it's so rambly, right? It's so long and boring and rambly. I think I typically lose subscribers when I post a live or I do a live. I think I'm going to have to do this upside down because I don't want to step in that. So I think for the most part, people do not enjoy these. But the people here, you people, J-Fan, White Wolf Mother, Akasha, who else was up here? Pretty Alice. This is why I'm doing it, because, you know, you show up and we can talk and sort of chat anyway about our witchy ways or our natural ways, whatever, creative ways. I feel like creativity really is its own magic. And it transforms. See how smudgy? It transforms the way I perceive myself anyway. Where did you go? I need to keep an eye on that. Thank you, J-Pan. I really appreciate you. Anybody that, seriously, that watches my channel and supports me the way you guys do. I mean, God love you. I appreciate it. I really do. I always want to hang out and talk to lovely people about things that I typically don't talk about during the day. I'm usually wrapped up in the IT world and in marketing and some event that I'm trying to produce, and I don't get to be as creative or spiritually minded as I would prefer. And certainly, not many people in my industry share the same values, beliefs. I don't know. So I'm certainly not talking about solstices and dismembering limiting beliefs and talking about what my manifestation, my big manifestation spell is going to be this year. You know, planning an event in Canada. I am not going to go. I'm just working on it, but I am going to have to run over to the East Coast soon for another event. So that's why I don't want to go to the Canadian event, because, ooh, these flights across the country. I don't enjoy air travel. I do have to say that. At least not in second class steward class, steerage class. I feel like when people get to airports, they just stop knowing how to walk. One of my pet peeves is like people will just at an airport, they'll just be walking and they'll just literally just stop, like right in front of you. And if you're not paying attention, which I usually am, I just, you know, I don't know. I'm not gonna complain. Oh, hey, you know what I want to show you? So this is drying. This stuff is drying. I'll probably wrap this up pretty soon. Let's see. You should consider writing a book with your artwork about your journey as a witch. I would buy. Oh, thank you, pretty Alice. I don't know if I have the patience for that, J-Pan. I can barely get out videos. Anyway, I wanted to show you guys the tarot decks and oracles that I'm working with this season. I think the other one, I don't know if I can get to it. Oh my God, I've got a ton of tarot decks and I should go through them all one day, but anyway. Have I shown you these? These are the ones I'm working with this season. So this Weaver's Oracle I've had for quite a while, and I've worked with it a bit. In fact, I'm missing one card. I don't know where it could have gotten to. I think it's card number 34. In fact, I can't remember which one it is, but I love this deck. This Weaver's Oracle is amazing, and for me, this is very helpful with working as a guide during the season. So typically, I'll pick a card to work with at each dark moon. This feels very like, I just like working with this deck at dark moon, and I'll pick a card at dark moon and work with her for a while. So this Weaver's Oracle, I'm not going to do a flip through of all of these, but this is one that I'm working with just monthly, really. So there's that. And I was just remembering that there's another deck, but it's over on my ancestors' altar. I'll have to get it to show you. These two. These are fairly new to me. I just haven't used them. So I am going to dive into them. The thing about this one, the Forest of Enchantment. So back in the 90s, I worked with Linnea Weatherstone. She had an online program called The Ninth Wave. And I worked with, it was like a year and a day program, I think. Really wonderful to work with. I love this witch, Linnea. And the art in here is amazing. I took this with me camping, worked with it there. I'm enjoying working with it now. The book is really good. This is, by the way, this is a Llewellyn. They're both Llewellyn decks. Cardstock is fine. I'm fine with it. I kind of like a thin cardstock. It's not super, super glossy. It's not, matte. I wouldn't say it was matte. But it is thin. But I don't mind. There's no gilded edges. This, to me, is a good, shuffle. I can riffle shuffle with these. I just put them in order yesterday because I want to do a thing where I go through them as far as how it looks as a story. The way she really changed out a lot of the majors, like what she calls them. So the White Heart instead of the Fool, the Enchanter, the Wise Woman, the Green Mother, the Forest Lord, the Oldest One, the Lovers, same. The Fairy Wind, Strength, same. Love that she's a wise woman with a wolf. Not a lot of like people as far as diversity, as far as different cultures or ethnicities, but definitely, different ages. And I do see different body types. So there's that. But yeah, this deck, the imagery really speaks to me. I love this card. I really love this card. There's a few cards in here that I bought. It's the reason I bought this deck. This Three of Vision cracks me up. This is one of my favorite Three of Cups favorite cards. And I have a couple of friends, dear old friends, that we used to do a daily tarot draw every day, and often the three of us would pull that Three of Cups. But yeah, I really wanted to work more with this deck, with that forest energy, especially because, I do like to go camping. This was perfect deck to bring with us on that trip. And then the Green Witch Tarot. Again, now it doesn't have the color pages, but a nice big little white book, so to speak. And then pretty pagan-y. This is the back of the cards. The art is interesting. I don't love it. The art in this deck does not speak to me as much as the one in the Forest of Enchantment, but I do like these images. I like, to me, it's kind of reminiscent of the Druid craft, just a little more, to me, not as Celtic-y as much as it's more like hedge witchy, I don't know. I just wanted to work with this deck. I thought it would be interesting. It's very similar to RWS, although obviously some of the names have been changed. So the Fool is the Green Man, the Witch, High Priestess is the same, the Earth Mother, not all of them, the Horn God, the High Priest, the Lady and the Lord instead of the Lovers, the Battle Wagon instead of Chariot. Yeah, so, you know, Holly King. Look at the Oak King as the Hanged Man. That's interesting. Setting a trap. That moon I like. I think that was one of the reasons I like this one. That moon card. So yeah. So working with these. And then these two oracles. Now this one came in a Witch's Moon box recently. They did a whole Celtic book. And I thought this would pair really well with both of those decks. I do like an oracle. And I've been having like this real fae kind of calling as we've moved into this season. So this feels very fae to me. Obviously, I mean, forest witchy. So I like this, but even more, and I've had this one for a while. I can't remember if I got this in a subscription box a year or two ago or if I bought it. But it pairs so well with these decks. I love this little deck. To me, this is very positive. Most of the time, I am needing a positive. Most of the time, I'm drawing swords. It's so funny. Clarity, challenges in your head, you know. So I like a positive reading, so to speak. So these are the decks that I'm working with. Oh, and I do have, let me see if I can grab from my ancestor altar that deck that I like to work with. I do like to work with the ancestors. Eep. And I think it's in here. Yeah. So this is a deck I got last year. I think the channel is called A Year and a Day. I think she was doing a flip through of that. And by the way, I love her channel. It's so great. But this deck is fantastic. I love it for ancestor work. It's the Future Ancestor Tarot. And it's kind of like Sumi ink watercolor. It's a very limited palette. Oh, Japan, yeah, the Celtic Spirit Oracle. Yeah, that came from the Witch's Moon. I think that it was in that Celtic box that they did a couple of weeks ago, or moons ago. But yeah, this deck is really, I just love it. It works so well. I get such good readings, and I specifically use it for ancestor working readings. Look at that, 8 of Needles. I just think it's fantastic. I love this deck. I love the art style. Anyway, so yeah, working with all of these this season, and just trying to get some work done on my grimoire, or at least that book of the Genus Loci. I have to be careful because I do have paint and stuff everywhere. I do keep some precious things in here. Precious things in here. So, I've been on for almost 2 hours, I think. I should probably let you guys go. I will do a formal video soon. I think it will be more about some spell work. There are a couple of witchy tags that I've seen that I would like to respond to. I have been watching Aurora. I think it's lavender, hazelwood lavender, or lavender hazelwood. I'll put a link to her channel in the replay. And she had brought up a topic about making it all up and being in your head, and I really wanted to respond to that because, you know, it can be trippy, and that can be what can mess with people in a way. So I do want to respond to that. I want to do some more work in my Book of Shadows. I need to add a couple more spell pages. I just dropped this huge Weaver's Oracle tag. But it's also 11:10 here, and I need to get going and get ready for my little nieces coming over. I think I'm going to make homemade dinner for them tonight. Turns out the oldest one just lost her first front tooth, so maybe I'll do some pasta or something that's easy. I mean, what 6-year-old doesn't love buttered noodles? Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Okay? Bye. Bye. If I can figure out how to turn it off. Let's see. I know.